Jada Pinkett Smith, I don't care. It's rather interesting to see the debate that rages about the shaven dome of Jada Pinkett Smith. The fact that she now has this smooth, hairless, bared head has caused people to talk about the comment, of course, that Chris Rock made, which appeared to reference the absence of hair, whether he was right to do so, whether it was just simply a joke, or did he cross a line in basically referencing something about her being a turtle waxer, or a comparison to Uncle Fester. The fact that he, in a public place, made reference to her being essentially a cue ball could be seen by some as gratuitous, offensive, and unnecessary. Drawing attention to the fact that she has a chrome dome, or looks like Dr. Phil, is seen by some as inappropriate and unnecessary. But what about Jada Pinkett Smith? What does she think about her slaphead status? The fact that there's a polar ice cap going on, and that some might regard her as a hamster head. Is it the case that she would be offended by somebody shouting, "Oi, Baldy," as she walks down the street? Or could she not give a crap about it? Is it the fact that she might be drawn to comparison to Britney Spears, or being said that she's done a Bronski beat, or alternatively being compared to the Tellis of Alice? Ultimately, would a chant of Baldilocks, what are you doing, or referring to her as being follically challenged, going to cause problems for her? Well, you might think that it would. And of course, many people have offered their opinions on the internet as to whether they think that she has alopecia, if she has, what's caused it, whether she's just utilising it as something in order to draw attention. I have explained in a separate video about getting wiggy with it as to why the hair, or absence of, has been used in this way. But what we haven't had so far is access to what her attitude is to the presence of the absence of the hair. Now, earlier on, years ago, she spoke about her concerns and that she was terrified as clumps of her hair, I think, were coming out in the shower. And I think reference was made to that back in 2018. But a recent report basically states that Jada Pinkett Smith took this attitude to the issue of her bald head. I don't give two craps what people think of this bald head. The Red Table Talk host posted a TikTok video just 4 days before last Sunday's night's ceremony, and it was all about hair. Being a black woman and dealing with hair in Hollywood in the era I came up in, having your hair look as European as possible was always the thing. And that was really challenging, because I liked my hair out wild and curly. Now, in issuing this video, you have to understand what is the driver behind it. Many people, ignorant of narcissism, go to an incorrect explanation for why she does the thing that she does. And I've seen it littered throughout the comment section and elsewhere, where people are trying to explain why she's behaved in the way that she has, that Smith has behaved in the way that he has, that Chris Rock behaved in the way that he has. And invariably, they are imposing their own worldview, as you'd expect, but getting it wrong. When it comes to Jada Pinkett Smith, we examine her behaviours when it comes to interaction with other people through the lens of her established narcissism. And therefore, when she creates a TikTok video, she utilises, like many narcissists do, social media in order to assert control. The assertion of control through social media is very useful for my kind. It allows a huge reach to a vast number of tertiary sources, allowing a vast amount of fuel to be gathered, although it's low potency. And where you have somebody famous, such as Jada Pinkett Smith, there'll be many responses to what she posts. She can see the comments, although I understand that at many times you're only able to comment on her videos if you're essentially approved in some way, which, of course, that sifting is an assertion of control of itself. But as she sees the hearts or likes or whatever it is racking up, that gives her little dollops of fuel each time, although she doesn't recognise it as such, and demonstrates that the audience are under control. So although she thinks that she's putting out this video to talk about the problems of being a black woman and hair, her narcissism has chosen her to select this issue of feeling a pressure to have European-looking hair, and that as a black woman she finds that challenging because she preferred her hair out wild and curly. Therefore, what her narcissism does is it takes, as it would do with anything, because it commoditizes anything for the purposes of the pursuit of the prime aims, it takes the issue of her hair and says, we are going to use the issue of hair in order to triangulate the audience with that. And there's a partial pity play in the sense of saying, I feel a pressure to have hair as European as possible, and I didn't really want it to be that case. In the video, she continued by explaining, I feel the freedom today. I don't give two craps what people think of this bald head of mine, because guess what? I love it. And of course, she's perfectly entitled to state that because it's her head. But again, what does she mean when she says that? Her narcissism issues that defiance, utilizing the narcissistic trait of defiance to say, basically, fuck you, and fuck you over there, and fuck you very much, because I love my bald head. I want to be this skinhead. She is entitled to make that choice, of course, but to help you understand, her narcissism selects this by saying, be defiant, and say to people, I simply don't care. Now, of course, what that then raises is the incongruity of her reaction to what Chris Rock said about her. If she didn't care, she would perhaps just have shrugged or even laughed when he made his first remark. But we know that she did not, because Chris Rock's remark about her can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2, even though it was a joke, offended her sense of control. It was a threat to her sense of control, so her narcissism reacted by causing her to roll her eyes to show disapproval, and then, as I have explained elsewhere, her narcissism then was activated, not directly towards Chris Rock, but indirectly against him through Will Smith. Of course, she issues this pronouncement, I don't give two craps what people think of this bald head of mine, because guess what, I love it. So, I don't care. But then you think, but surely you do care, because your reaction when your hair was brought up, or an indirect reference to it was brought up by Chris Rock's jibe, you appear to be sensitive to it. This, of course, demonstrates the hypocrisy of the narcissist, that the narcissist at this point in time will say A, and then moments later will say B, which often is diametrically opposed to what they said 5 minutes earlier. But her narcissism doesn't allow her to see that. Her narcissism doesn't cause her to sit there and think, oh, actually, I don't care, but I'm going to pretend that I care. I'm going to pretend that I'm sensitive to what's been stated about me, because then I can gain sympathy. It doesn't work like that with her, because she's unaware of her narcissism. The narcissism blinds her to what she said earlier on. In effect, the narcissism strikes it from the record as if it never actually happened. It's like 1984. The war with Eurasia is over, and now they're allies with East Asia, and we've never been at... we're now at war, rather, with East Asia. And we've always been at war with East Asia, even though, of course, East Asia was actually an ally 2 weeks ago. It's rewritten, and the narcissism does that to ensure that the behaviour of the narcissist is done with complete conviction. So she is able to do so 4 days earlier in the video that has appeared on TikTok to say, I don't give a crap of what people think about my head. And then, on the Sunday evening, a week ago, she's entitled to look disapproving, annoyed, upset by the remark referencing her shaven head. Of course, the article that highlights this asks this question. If that was Jada's mindset going into the Oscars, was Will's reaction really about hair? Or was it about simmering anger towards Rock? As you know, during the 2016 Oscar ceremony, Chris took potshots at both Will and Jada, trashing Will's movie Wild Wild West and calling Jada irrelevant after she said she was boycotting the ceremony. Sources connected to both Will and Chris state that there was no love lost between Chris and the Smiths, and when Will and Jada watched Chris, they were braced for another shot. Chris delivered that shot, and Jada's eye roll may have been more about, you see, he did it to us again, than anger over the hair reference, and when Will saw her, he just lost it. Of course, there is potential force in that observation of saying, see, he's getting at us again, and that may well be correct. But the point about all of this is to demonstrate the hypocrisy of the narcissist of saying, I don't care about the hair, but then behaving as if she does care about remarks about the hair. And, of course, how the absence of the hair is just a commodity that's utilised. So while she'll say, I don't care, that's the narcissist conditional asterisk, meaning if she wants to thereafter care because her narcissism deems it appropriate, she can. It's in the same way that a narcissist will say, I never want to see you again, never darken my doorstep again, and then turns up the next day asking if you'd like to go out for dinner. And you're thinking, WTF, you just said that you didn't want to ever see me again, and now you're back. That is the entitlement, the compartmentalization, the fact that a narcissist at 7 o'clock the previous evening can basically say, I don't want anything to do with you ever again, you're dead to me, I don't want to see you anymore, and then turn up at 3 p.m. the following day saying, hey, let's go out for dinner. It's all about what happens in the moment. The moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but the moment. The narcissist, of course, can use yesterday by bringing up the past to control now. The narcissist, of course, can use the future to control the now through future faking or promised gain. But it's all about the now. And it's important to recognise, utilising this example of Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair, the hypocrisy abounds, but she doesn't see that because the narcissism determines that it is entirely appropriate for her to behave in this manner. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.